Welcome to this explainer on the biological architecture of financial behavior. You have probably opened your banking app to check your balance more times this month than you have actually opened a single savings account. You log in, you swipe down to refresh the screen, you desperately hope to see something unexpectedly positive. It is a modern ritual almost everyone participates in, chasing a quick hit of financial reassurance. And yet, why does your savings balance look exactly the same? You tell yourself over and over that the next paycheck will be completely different. You promise yourself that this time, the extra cash will go somewhere it can grow instead of just evaporating into the friction of daily life. But months later, you look at your accounts, the number sitting in savings looks almost identical to where it started. The money just sits there, stagnant, unchanged. It is an incredibly relatable, quiet frustration, isn't it? It is so tempting to call this a discipline problem, a willpower problem, a fundamental character flaw. You might think you simply lack the grit to build long-lasting wealth. But the real reason is far stranger. The truth about why your bank account is frozen in time is actually baked right into how the human brain evaluates time, reward, and the very concept of scarcity itself. Consider this quote. The average person underestimates how much of their financial behavior is shaped by psychology rather than willpower. That brilliantly hits the nail on the head. Your inability to save is not a moral failing. It is a biological reality. Your financial struggles are directly tied to ancient neural pathways trying to navigate a wildly complex modern world they were simply never designed to understand. Your brain did not evolve in a world with 401ks, compound interest, or 30-year fixed mortgages. Cavemen were not exactly worried about maximizing their credit scores before the next ice age. Your brain evolved in a harsh, unpredictable environment where a piece of fruit today was worth infinitely more than a hypothetical piece of fruit next season. Why? Because there is a very real chance you would not even survive the winter to eat it. That ancient survival wiring hasn't gone away. It has just been repointed at credit card balances, flash sales, and direct deposits. Behavioral economists have a name for this phenomenon: present bias. It is a strong, often highly irrational preference for smaller rewards right now over much larger rewards later. Even when the math clearly, undeniably favors waiting, your ancient brain demands the reward immediately. Saving money requires the exact opposite of this deep-seated instinct. It demands treating a future, uncertain, highly abstract version of yourself as being just as real and just as deserving as the person standing at the checkout counter today. Most human brains are simply not built to do that automatically. The plot thickens when considering how your brain actually organizes value. Nobel-winning economist Richard Thaler calls this mental accounting. Mental accounting is the psychological habit of sorting money into different mental categories, rather than treating it as one big interchangeable pool of value. You mentally build separate buckets: rent money, fun money, savings money, and found money, like an unexpected tax refund or a $20 bill discovered in an old jacket. What is absolutely fascinating is how those arbitrary labels dictate actual behavior. A dollar earmarked as fun money is spent far more easily and quickly than the exact same dollar labeled savings. Even though both dollars carry the exact same purchasing power in the real world, the labels you assign to money fundamentally change how real that money feels in your mind. This perfectly explains why a sudden year-end bonus check often vanishes within days, while the same amount sitting in a savings account for 6 months feels entirely untouchable. But how exactly does your brain process the future? This brings up a concept formalized by Harvard economist David Leibson, known as hyperbolic discounting. In plain English, the difference between right now and in 1 hour feels absolutely massive to your nervous system. It triggers immediate, undeniable urgency. But the difference between in 10 years and in 11 years, that gap feels almost non-existent. You discount the very near future extremely steeply, but everything further out gets discounted much, much more gently. So why does retirement never feel urgent enough? The answer is simple. Long-term savings can never quite compete with today's smaller, louder temptations. Retirement is always some abstract number of years away. It permanently lives in that flat, distant, unexciting part of your brain's timeline. No matter how massive the eventual financial reward will be, it will never feel as pressing or as vital as the temptations sitting right in front of you today. There is another hidden dimension to this puzzle, and it involves bandwidth. It is known as cognitive scarcity. Behavioral economist Senthil Mullainathan and psychologist Eldar Shafir discovered something profound. Financial strain does not just limit what you can buy at the grocery store. It literally consumes mental bandwidth, leaving less raw processing power for slow, careful, future-oriented decisions. 13 points. In psychological studies, individuals under financial strain performed as if they had lost roughly 13 IQ points of cognitive capacity. They lost this simply from the heavy, invisible mental load of scarcity itself. When your brain is totally preoccupied with figuring out how to cover this month's electric bill, you simply do not have the spare processing power left over to plan for a decade away. The problem loops back on itself. Scarcity makes saving harder, and the inability to save deepens the scarcity. So how exactly is this resolved? Here is the strange, counterintuitive twist. Decades of financial literacy campaigns have tried to educate people out of poor saving habits, producing famously modest results. You cannot simply read enough pamphlets to override ancient biology. Knowing the psychology does not automatically fix the behavior, but changing the default produces dramatic results. Redesigning the environment succeeds exactly where raw financial education so frequently fails. Consider the Save More Tomorrow program designed by Richard Thaler and Shlomi Benartzi. Under this system, average savings rates nearly quadrupled over roughly 3 years. The brilliant trick here? The program asked employees to commit today to saving a larger portion of their salary, but that change would only start when their next future pay raise hit. They didn't have to feel any immediate pain or loss in their current paycheck, yet their long-term savings skyrocketed over time. The crucial takeaway here: willpower is unreliable. Let your calm, future brain decide. The Save More Tomorrow trick wasn't about forcing people to build more discipline. It was about designing around the undeniable fact that human willpower consistently fails. It bypassed the anxious, present-biased brain entirely. By locking in a future decision, it let the calm, rational, future mental account make the final call without triggering immediate panic. This completely flips the premise that a lack of savings equals a lack of discipline. Are your two brains fighting each other across time? The evidence suggests exactly that. Discipline is a profoundly poor tool for this problem because the biological system making the decision is not the system that actually benefits from the outcome. The version of you saving the money today and the version of you spending the retirement fund decades from now are, psychologically speaking, almost two entirely different people negotiating across time. Which brings the focus directly to modern structural workarounds, automated bank transfers, set-it-and-forget-it retirement contributions, apps that automatically round up your daily purchases into an investment account. These tools are often misunderstood. They are not moral victories over temptation. They are brilliant, necessary workarounds for a deeply flawed biological system. They take the decision completely out of the hands of your present-biased brain, ensuring success without requiring constant effort. When a portion of your paycheck vanishes into a savings account before you even see the direct deposit hit your checking account, that isn't a victory of discipline. That is a present-biased brain being quietly outmaneuvered by design. The people who appear to have the absolute most discipline with their finances often simply have the least number of daily decisions left for their present-focused brain to make. They are successfully outsmarting their own evolution. So the next time that static savings balance looks exactly the same as it did last month, ask a fundamentally different question. What decision are you still leaving for a version of yourself who is never going to make it? You did not fail to save money because you lack willpower. You failed because saving was designed by human evolution to feel significantly less urgent than it actually is. The real reason your bank account looks the same is far stranger than discipline. It's because relying on willpower against biology was never a fair fight to begin with.